Welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of Advanced Word Study. I'm your host, Miss Amber, and this is your teacher, Miss Chelsea. In preparation for our lesson today, you will need a pencil and a piece of paper. Have fun!
Thank you, Miss Amber. We've been learning how to read and write multisyllabic words. And during your last lesson, you worked with the schwa and diphthong syllables with Miss Amber. Today, we're going to practice applying all the knowledge we've learned about syllables in text. So let's review our newest syllable types. The schwa contains an sound in an unstressed syllable with a vowel. So it's going to make the sound, but oftentimes the schwa is spelled with the vowel a. A diphthong syllable is when two vowels make a new sound, and your mouth will make two movements. Let's look at the diphthongs. We have OI and OY, which say oi. Can you say that? Good. AU and AW, which say aw. Can you say that? And OW and OU, which say ow. Let me hear you. Let's review them all again. Oi, aw, ow. Very good. If you remember our visuals, we used the short U to remind us that the schwa syllable will say even if it's spelled with another vowel letter. And the OI, they're holding hands because they come together to make a new sound, oi. That helps us remember our diphthongs. So let's practice some words with those patterns. I'm going to do the first one for you. Here is my word. Let me use another color. I like this one best. We're going to use the same syllabication steps we've been working through in every lesson. My step 1 tells me to label the first two vowels I see. I see vowel A and vowel E. So I will label those with a V. I'm going to draw a bridge to connect those vowels. Now step 3 asks me to label the consonants on the bridge. On this bridge, I see consonant J. Now step 4 says divide using the pattern I notice. So before I do that, I want to focus on what I still see at the end of my word. I notice there's another vowel. So we have to go all the way back to step 1 and create a new bridge. So let's identify the next two vowels we see. I see an E, it's already been labeled, and vowel I. So let me label this one. Now I'm going to draw a bridge to connect those vowels. Step 3 says I need to label the consonants that are on this new bridge. I see consonant S and T. I'll label those with a C. All right, now we've made it to step 4, and this tells me that I need to divide using the pattern I notice. So I'm going to start with my first bridge and look at this pattern. I see V, C, V. I know that with those patterns, there are two different possibilities for how we divide. But we're always going to try this pattern first because it's most frequent. So I'm going to divide after the vowel, and I'm going to use a dotted line just in case I have to go back. Now I want to look at my next bridge and do that exact same thing. Divide using the pattern I notice. Here I see a V, C, C, V. That's right. This pattern is divided between the consonants. So I'm going to draw a line right here. Okay, now I have 3 separate syllables, and I have to identify those and label them. So let's start right here at the beginning of my word. I notice that this syllable ends in vowel A. Well, let me go back to my anchor chart and review what syllable type ends in a vowel that's spelled with one letter. Closed syllables end in one or more consonants. We just said A was a vowel. Open syllables end in a vowel make a long sound, and are spelled with one vowel letter. Okay, so let's go ahead and label this open because it ends with one vowel letter A and will make a long sound. Let's move to my next syllable. What do I notice here? J-E-S. This syllable ends in consonant S, and we just reviewed on our anchor chart that closed syllables end in one or more consonants. So here's my consonant, so I'm going to label this CL for closed. Moving right along to my last syllable, what do I notice? I also see that this ends in consonant C. So I'm going to label that CL for closed as well. Now we're going to move to step 6 and attempt to read each syllable and blend the word. But remember, we have this dotted line here in case our pronunciation doesn't quite match up to what we've heard before. So let's try. A, may, j, s, jess, t, ick, tick. Majestic, majestic. That doesn't sound like something I've read a whole lot or heard before, so let me try by moving this line and see if that helps. I'm going to use a different color, and our second option is to move that line behind the consonant. So I'm going to move my line behind the J. So now my first syllable is M-A-J. And what do we know about syllables that end in a consonant? That's right, those are closed. So I'm going to mark this out and see if this works better as a closed syllable. Because of this J, my A is now going to make a short vowel sound, A. So let's try to read this word again. Adge, madge, s, t, ick, tick. Majestic, majestic. It sounds closer to something that's familiar, but because we've been talking about the schwa sound, I want to try one more thing. Let's move this line back over here behind our vowel in our first division. And instead of marking this as a closed syllable, I'm going to put an X right here for the schwa. So this vowel A, instead of saying A or A, is going to say It's an unstressed syllable. So let's try again. M, j, s, jess, t, ick, tick. Majestic, majestic. Now that sounds familiar to me. Great reading. Again, I know that was a lot, but we just want to make sure we can get as close to the pronunciation as possible. So I'm glad we tried all our options. I want your help. Can you get your paper and write this word for me? And let's work through another. Are you ready? Great. What's the first thing we need to do? That's right. We need to label the first two vowels that we see. So what two vowels do you see? I also see O and U. But what have we learned in our past lesson about O and U when they're together? Very good. They're known as a diphthong. So we're going to underline those together and keep them as one vowel. What's the next vowel you see? I also see vowel E. But what do we also know about a vowel followed by R? Let's look at our anchor chart. R controlled syllables are a combination of vowel R, or a combination of a vowel followed by an R. So our ER is going to stay together too. Let's underline that and keep those guys together. All right, now let's move to step 2. What do I need to do next? Good, let's draw our bridge. Oh, and I heard you already say step 3. We're going to label that consonant you see on our bridge. Very good. We'll label that consonant S. Okay, what does step 4 ask me to do? Good. We're going to divide using the pattern we notice. And our pattern is V, C, V. And we have 2 ways we could divide that. But we're always going to try this first one before anything else. So let's draw our line our dotted line just in case, right after the first vowel. Okay? Now let's identify the syllable types and label them. So let's look at our first syllable. What have we just learned? Very good. This OU is a diphthong, so this whole syllable will be labeled DI. Great job. All right, what do you notice about our second syllable? You heard me say it earlier, didn't you? That's right, ER when they're together are known as R-controlled syllables, our bossy R, because this R kind of controls the sound that our E makes. So we're going to label it BR. Great job. So together, I want us to do step 6. Let's read each syllable and blend this word. I'll guide you and I want you to read after me. T-r-ow, trow, sirs, trousers. Trousers. Those are another word for pants. Great job. Let's keep going. Can you write this word on your paper? All right. What does step 1 have us do? We're going to underline the first 2 vowels we see. I hear you. I see vowel A and another A. So let's label those with a V. What's the next thing we need to do? We're going to draw our bridge to connect those vowels. Step 3 tells me to label the consonants on that bridge. How many consonants do you see? Yes, I see 3 consonants too. What do we know about GR? Very good. Sometimes we consider those a blend, so we're going to keep them together and label this consonant G as one and GR, the blend, as another consonant. All right, so now we're going to divide using the pattern we notice. But I still have a lot of word that's not accounted for. So what do we need to do? Very good. We're going to go all the way back to step 1 and label the next 2 vowels that we see. So I've underlined vowel A, and what's the next vowel you see? The next A. Very good. Now we're going to draw a bridge connecting those 2 vowels. And step 3 tells me to label this consonant. So we're going to label consonant V. Great. All right, let's try to do step 4 now. It says divide using the pattern you notice, so let's focus on our first pattern, V, C, C, V. Where do I need to divide? Okay, right between the consonants. Good. Our next pattern is V, C, V. So what pattern do I need to try first? That's right, we're going to divide right after that first vowel, and I'll draw a dotted line just in case we have to move it. So let's identify our syllable types and then label each and see if we can read our word. What do you notice about this first syllable, A-G? Good. It ends in consonant G, so this would be a closed syllable. We'll label it CL. What do you notice about our next syllable, G-R-A? I see that. It ends in vowel A, and we know that when the syllable ends in a vowel that's spelled with one letter, we consider that open. So let's label it O-P. And what do you notice about our final syllable? That's right. It ends with another vowel E. And let's review. I'm going to look down. Vowel teams. E's a vowel, but he doesn't come together right beside another vowel. Silent E. It looks familiar in my example word. Long vowel sound with one letter. Vowel is followed by a consonant and a silent E. So here I see my vowel, a consonant, and a silent E. So this vowel does not make its own sound. Awesome. So we're going to draw a line reminding us that this vowel gives all his power to that A, and this becomes silent E. We're going to label it S-E. So this will make a long sound when we read it. All right, so let's try to do step 6. Read each syllable and blend the word. I'll lead and you follow after me. Ag, gr, a, gray, vate, aggravate, aggravate. It sounds close to something I've heard, but I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. So let's try again with our next division pattern. Remember, if it doesn't quite work, we're going to try this pattern. So instead of dividing after our first vowel, I'm going to move that line after my consonant. So now my second syllable is G-R-A-V instead of G-R-A. So let's see, we're going to have to relabel that because now what? That's right, our syllable ends in a consonant and we know that's not open, those are closed. So let's label it CL and try to read it again. Ag, gr, a, gra, vate, aggravate, aggravate. I'm getting closer. It sounds familiar, but let's try one more thing before we move on. Let's move our division line back into that first position and try to label this with a schwa. We'll put that X. Can you do that for me? Good. All right, now we're going to try to read this word again, and instead of making an A or A, it'll say Ag, gr, vate, aggravate, aggravate. Now that sounds like something I've heard before. My mom used to tell me I was aggravating her all the time. Good reading. Let's try one more. You're getting better. I know it's tough. Write this word on your paper for me. All right, let's start with step 1. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm going to underline the first 2 vowels I see, and I see vowel A. Oh, I'm so sorry, you're right. A-W is one of those diphthongs we've been talking about. So I'll keep those together. And what vowel do you see next? I see it, vowel I. I will label him as well. All right, what does step 2 ask me to do? Okay, I'm going to draw my bridge, connecting those vowels. And now we're going to move to step 3, labeling the consonants on that bridge. How many consonants do you see? Good. I also just see consonant F, and I'll label him with a C. All right, so now we're going to divide using the pattern we notice. And what pattern do you notice? Good. VCV. All right, so we're going to start by dividing after the vowel, and I'll use my dotted line just in case we need to move it. All right, so now let's label each syllable. What do you notice about this syllable? Good. It has a W, which we know is a diphthong. So I'm going to label that D-I. What do you notice about this syllable? Yes, it ends in SH, which is, those are consonants. That's right. I love it. So we're going to label those CL because this will be closed. All right, now we just have to read each syllable and blend the word. So let's do that together. Can you help me? All right, I'm going to let you take the lead. Aw, craw, ish, fish, crawfish, crawfish. Very good reading. I love to eat crawfish. All right, so we have worked really hard with some of those words, and they were really tricky to read. But I'm going to take this chart right here, and we're going to read these words in text. So I want you to take a few minutes and read through our story, Roy's Calling. I'll give you just a few minutes to do that, and then we'll look for those tricky words. All right, did you enjoy that story? I did too. So before I read it with you, I hope you noticed that there were a few of the words we just worked through in this story. So let's see if we can find them. I know my chart's a little in the way, so let me scoot it over so we can see our words. So the first word we syllabicated together was majestic. Let's see if we can find it in our text. You shout at me when you see it. There it is. All right, our next word was trousers. Let's see if we can find that one. I'm going to keep moving from here. Let's see. Oh, that's right. It's up here. I'm glad you spotted it before I kept going. Our next word was aggravate. Let's see if we can find aggravate. Here it is. And our last word was crawfish. Do you see the word crawfish? I think we passed it. It's right here. Awesome. Let Miss Chelsea read this to you again so that we can read our words within that text. You can follow along with me. Roy's Calling. Roy was a strong young man and lived in a small brownstone downtown. He had a profound desire to serve others. Today, that desire was going to be made real. As he put his trousers on, he could not help but feel a majestic sense of pride. He had been awake all night thinking about his next chapter. Roy's mother had arrived at his house early with breakfast. They talked about his love for crawfish. His mother talked about how it would aggravate him when the seesaw was not open for use. In the car, they both avoided the goodbye ahead. They arrived at the airport where Roy would head to Singapore to serve his country. Such a great story. Before we go, can you help me answer this question? What does Roy have a profound desire to do? That's right, he wants to serve others. Great reading. We've learned so much about multisyllabic words that I hope this new knowledge helps you attack any unknown words you find when reading.
Thank you, Miss Chelsea, and thank you, boys and girls, for your participation in the lesson today. We can't wait to see you again. Bye.